Here in the United States, the man accused of attacking U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband has entered a not guilty plea in a San Francisco court. David Depape faces charges of attempted murder, attempted kidnapping and assault with a deadly weapon. He's accused of attacking Paul Pelosi after breaking into the couple's home in the small hours of last Friday. Documents presented in court say Depape planned to hold the House Speaker herself hostage and, quote, break her kneecaps if she lied to him. In fact, Nancy Pelosi was 2,500 miles away here in Washington, D.C. when the attack took place. Her 82-year-old husband was seriously injured after being struck in the head with a hammer. He remains in hospital. The Speaker says her husband is making steady progress on what will be a long recovery. Meanwhile, the defendant's lawyer said the alleged attacker had dislocated his shoulder during the attack and has been moved to hospital from prison. David Depape was ordered held without bail during his arraignment.
What I will say is that there's also been a lot of speculation regarding Mr. Depape's vulnerability to misinformation, and that's certainly something that we're going to look into, that we're going to delve into as his defense team.
Prosecutors say Depape may have been on a suicide mission, but they say he also had plans to target other political figures.
The best that I can do as the district attorney of San Francisco is to hold this man accountable for the crime that he committed, but also make sure that I express my views on the issue, which is that I think we are at a point in the United States where political rhetoric has become too inflammatory. We have become a society that thinks it's acceptable to incite violent acts against our political leaders, and we can't be that type of America.
And so live to WION's US correspondent Susan Tehrani, who joins us today from New York. Susan, let's get caught up with the latest on the investigation into the attack on Paul Pelosi and the revelation contained in today's edition of the Washington Post that Capitol Police could actually have seen the break-in at the Pelosi residence if only they'd been looking at the right security monitor. Give us an update on that.
Absolutely. Revelations in the Washington Post and backed up by officials that are privy to the matter, that not only they weren't looking at the proper security cameras, but the Capitol Police have more to answer for. First of all, this deranged lunatic should have never been even close to Nancy Pelosi's house. The questions that also arise is whether or not the cameras that were operating, the Capitol Police cameras that were operating in Nancy Pelosi's home, were they malfunctioning? Were they operating correctly? And is it only the fact that people, the Capitol Police weren't just looking at the right cameras? Because now we're getting news that the first time that they realized that there was an intruder was from outside of Nancy Pelosi's home. Now, the Capitol Police says that Nancy Pelosi was in Washington. However, looking back, the Pelosi home, either these cameras on the part of the Capitol Police had to be requested to be deactivated, or they were malfunctioning, because they have to be activated 24/7, considering the fact that she's second in line of succession, and people could potentially, put a bomb, whether she's there or not. There are a lot of security issues. And then the second issue is, why was it that no one from the Capitol Police San Francisco chapter, why were they not on the ground at Nancy Pelosi's home? Again, she's the Speaker of the House. She's not just a regular member of Congress. So yes, a lot of questions right now geared towards the Capitol Police beyond the fact of why they weren't looking at the right cameras.
But Susan, to be fair to the Capitol Police, there are 535 members of Congress. They've got hundreds of different incoming video feeds that they're monitoring all the time. Nancy Pelosi was not at her residence at the time of the attack. I mean, the Capitol Police are a small force. They can't possibly be looking at all of these cameras all the time, right?
Right. And I think the question right now is not to really attack the Capitol Police, but I think the question that many are asking is, considering the fact that Nancy Pelosi is Speaker of the House, second in line of succession, not that other members of Congress are not important, and the Capitol Police has said that, you know, they are going to basically add more security, not only for Nancy Pelosi, but also other members of Congress. And then the question there arises, you know, to what extent, how much manpower do they have? How much money can they really pour into this? But I think these are questions that ultimately, not to attack the Capitol Police, but need to be answered further into this investigation on if there was a malfunction in these cameras. Were they requested to be turned off? And whether or not there was, you know, a lack of oversight on the part of the people that were operating these cameras. So the investigation is definitely ongoing. And I think that, you know, as we move forward, more questions are going to arise. And the conversation is really going to move forward as there's this change in the landscape of communication. With the internet, with trolling, with the heated political climate, how much is too much, or how much ultimately is enough to keep lawmakers, politicians, and others safe from deranged individuals like this one?